That's what you owe us, dead ass.
I owe you a pay cut. Y'all been in the red since 97.
You know what? 100K, not that bad.
Okay, so here we go. The New York Times. The last time I covered one of their articles, it was like men have gone away, come back because we miss you or something like that. I can't even remember the name of the title. What I can say is that the article was overly long, it was pedantic, and it nearly bored me to sleep. So if you're here, then chances are you've heard of this article, you want to read the thing too. Or, you were waiting for somebody to do the audiobook version of it, which is basically what this is. And I have to warn you, before I start reading this, I'm telling you, this, one thing I've noticed is they get really boring. This is their new tactic. What they do is they post rage bait, and then they sit back and wait while people are typing comments or people are talking about it. And, they try to wait for it to get into like pop culture television shows like The View, so that this way they can get people talking about it. And that's basically how they make their money, right? So the mere fact that they, have me talking about it, that means that, obviously it's making its rounds as rage bait. I have to actually also mention, I haven't really heard The View talk about the manosphere with the exception of denouncing Andrew Tate. And they pretty much did their best to ignore Kevin Samuels because he was like literally tearing them a new one. And they don't talk about any of these other dudes in the manosphere. So it's almost like the manosphere is either dead or it doesn't exist. I guess they figured let's not breathe any life into it. But the problem is you can't ignore something that is spreading. You can't ignore MGTOW. You can't ignore men going their own way. Simply because now what you're seeing is article after article about boys not, interacting or dating with girls. You got men not interacting and dating with women. You've got boys dropping out of everything. They don't want to be part of anything. They don't want to join any groups. They don't want to. So basically what it is that they can't ignore it because it's happening and it's obvious. And the problem is, whenever they talk about it, what's funny, and it's funny because I was listening to one of these shows on the radio this morning. Lori Daniel Favors on Sirius XM. And her topic was for this morning, her topic was, what is a man? But my question is, why is it anytime somebody's talking about what is a man, it's usually a woman, and it's usually a woman or a group of women in a situation where the men don't have equal opportunity to talk. Because, see, that's what The View is all about. What it is you get a bunch of these old roosters, they get together, and it's just them talking about everything. So the problem is, if you were sitting at home and didn't know any better, you'd assume that everything that they're saying is the gospel. You don't have any dissenting opinion because they're not going to invite one up there. And it's what do they call it? An echo chamber. And my thinking is, okay, I can answer that question. You know what a man is? A man is the builder of society. Men build, women don't. Women help men build, but men build, women don't. You will never see women building space stations, submarines, anything. Like the buildings, like you never see a group of women going around building up houses. You never see a group of women, just women, going around building plumbing. I don't see any women building nuclear reactors or building nuclear storage facilities. I just don't see it. Men build, women help men build. And that's just the order of things. I'm sorry if you don't like it, you don't think it's equal, you don't think there's equity, you don't think there's equality in it. I'm sorry, but unfortunately, that's just the way nature planned it. Nature just planned it that way. I'm sorry. And I know some people are upset that sharks eat fish, but, it is what it is. I'm sorry. So anyway, let's get into this. Man, they're going to try to put my ass to sleep. I should have taken a Celebrex or something before. Got to get a muscle relaxer before you read this bullshit. But anyway, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give them the benefit of doubt. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to be fair, and I'm going to give them the benefit of doubt. Okay, so I'm going to enter it with an open mind. Okay, the trouble with wanting men. Women are so fed up with dating men that the phenomena even has a name, heterofatalism. So what do we do with our desire? The illustration, that picture, was made by Christina Zikova, and this story is by Jean Garnett. I guess it's Jean or John. I don't know if this is a French name or whatever. I really don't know. I guess it really doesn't matter either. It's made on July 21st, or published July 21st, 2025. That would have been yesterday. All right, so it says, the stranger arrived at the bar before I did, as I intended him to, and was waiting for me at a table in back. He had the kind of face I like. So this is a woman, obviously. So how do you pronounce it? Jean, John? I don't know. Whatever. But anyway, and he had been a little difficult to pin down. Delayed in his responses, which I also like. The place was loud with the having fun sounds people make when they expect to have fun any minute now. So we were leaning in to hear each other. His hair, I thought, would be good to put my hands in. Listen to this article read by Kirsten Potter. There comes a time, usually when a few extra beats of eye contact are enough. We passed through these beats, took each other's wrists, and met across the table, which was wide enough to frustrate kissing in the right way. Keeping the rest of us well. Why do they always do this? Why do they write these stories as if they're trying to prove that they know how to? It's like, you know what this is? This is like writing for failed authors. It's like you're making this shit so long and boring. Just get to the point. Just get to the point. That's all I ask. It says, keeping the rest of us well apart. Back at my place, he was a little shy, I thought, or a little out of practice. But I felt he wanted me, which was what I wanted, to be organized and oriented by his desire, as though it were a point on the dark horizon strobing, I guess. I don't know. Okay. I was really looking forward to seeing you again, he texted me the following week. Well, it seems like you skipped the sex. It's like, are you going to talk about the sex? Like, did he go down? Like, did you go down? Like, what, was it a 5-minute wham bam, thank you, ma'am? Did he sleep over? It's like, you talked all this nonsense about leaning into each other in the bar, and then you skip over the good part. Like why? It's like ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. Let me just be very clear. I'm not paying the New York Times anything. Until y'all get writers who know how to write compelling, interesting stories, it's like I'm not paying you. I'm sorry. I'm just not. Okay, so anyway, where was I? I was really looking forward to seeing you again. He texted me the following week around lunchtime. But I'm going through some intense anxiety today and need to lay low. Totally understand, I replied. But I didn't. Feeble, fallible, looking forward is not longing. A man should want me urgently or not at all. I was about to collapse into a ritual of frustrated horniness, fantasy, masturbation, and snacks when a friend urged me to join her and 2 other women for dinner. I wonder what she wants y'all to do. But anyway, of course he has anxiety, said one of them, a therapist, who sat across from me at the restaurant. That's life. That's being alive and going to meet someone you don't know well. Yeah, said the woman besides her, a historian. It's called sexual tension. Stay with it for a minute and you might get some. They can't, said my friend with triumphant disgust. She told us about a woman she knew who was dating a man from another city. After weeks of saying, I can't wait to see you, the man ghosted her during his actual visit. His explanation later, he'd been too anxious. Huh? What? Anyway, oh, poor baby, cried the historian. And we all cooed and moaned for the poor little fraidy cat boo-boo, working ourselves into a frenzy of laughter over men's inability to man up and expletive us. So basically, the expletive, which here's my thing. You're telling me that in a world where kids curse at each other, kids download R-rated movies, PG-13 movies have the F-bomb in it. You mean to tell me that you people are so self-censoring that you can't say the word fuck? Really? I mean, I don't know what's happening to society where these people, if you've ever heard these people talk to each other, especially when they get angry, they come up with every foul four-letter word that they could possibly come up with, and they use it within a sentence like maybe 10 or 15 times. It's so crazy. And yet you're typing this nonsense trying to prove to me that you know how to write, and you can't even just say it. It's like, I mean, this is just... George Orwell would be absolutely disgusted with what he sees right now. He would be disgusted. So anyway, we were 4 women at a vegan restaurant. Yeah, that's your problem right there. We were 4 women at a vegan restaurant downtown Manhattan. We knew what show we were in, and we couldn't help but wonder in a smug, chauvinistic way, where were the men who could handle hard stuff like leaving the house for sex? Whew. Okay, so the therapist mused about the anxiety of needing to justify the phallus. For those of you who don't know, phallus means penis. She said, from the child's point of view, it's like, I get what mom is for, but what are you for? What's the point of your pee-pee? What's the point of your thing? This sent us miming confrontations with imaginary members. Who invited you? What's your deal? Are you lost? Which led to wisecracks about the not-so-precision scalpel of the surgeon the therapist was seeing. Privately, jokes aside, I am quite susceptible to penis. Like, I worry that in some Hobbesian state of nature, I might just automatically kneel to the prettiest one. What? But lately I have been bruised by the ambivalence of men. How they can first want me and then become confused about what they want. And this bawdy, diminishing humor soothed me, made me feel more powerful, more in control. When did the men get so anxious about desire? Asked the therapist. And I said, I didn't know. Yes, you do, my friend said. It was when they were put on notice that they can't just get drunk and grope us. Okay. I haven't been dating long. Just the other day, my ex-husband and I received our judgment of divorce as an email. Now, first of all, you see, this is the thing. As the story goes on, that's when more and more of this horror show starts to come out. I didn't know right up until this moment that she's a divorcee. So, now, you see, the problem is... See, this is the thing. First of all, if you let women talk, if you just sit there and let them talk, they'll tell you goddamn everything. They'll tell you their social security number. They'll tell you when they go see their OBGYN. It's ridiculous. Like, they just talk. They'll tell you everything. So as the story goes on, now you find out she's a divorcee. Now, if you're a man like I am, and you think about it even like just a little bit, you're like, oh, so that's why he doesn't want to deal with you. He probably met you. He probably started talking to you. And then he realized, he's like, wait a minute. Do I really want to mess with this chick and she's been a divorcee? And chances are the answer is no. Now, here's the problem. Men who specifically, date divorcees and single moms, these are some desperate, thirsty motherfuckers. And literally, that's what they are. And these guys are so desperate and thirsty that they'll deal with just about anything so that they can get at that cat. But here's the problem, though. If these women have children, they don't want to deal with them. They really don't, especially if they got young boys. They don't want to deal with that. And the women are thinking, oh, yeah, he'd be a great male figure and a role model and all that shit. And the guy is like, I don't want to be no role model. I don't want to mentor nobody. In fact, if I was a woman, I'd be worried about a guy who didn't feel that way. I'd be like the guys who are like, I can't wait to get around her kids. It's like, wait a minute. I don't want this dude around my kids. If I was a woman, because, I'm a man, I think in terms of violence. So basically, it's like, I don't want no strange guy around my children. But these women are so thirsty that they're willing to get these thirstier dudes. But when the dudes, all of a sudden, they don't want to give these women the emotional attachments that they want. And then, oh, yeah, well, he's not man enough. And he's got a little pee-pee and he's not man enough and all that. It's like, yo, listen, no. You're a divorcee and he doesn't want nothing to do with it. What he wants is some easy cat. That's what he wants. He wants that easy cat. That's what it is, easy cat. So what is this? Okay, where are we? I haven't been dating long. Just the other day, my ex-husband and I received our judgment of divorce. So you've already proved that you're willing to divorce men, right? Why would any dude really want it? First of all, how could a dude date you seriously when you're just getting out of a freaking divorce? Does it ever occur to you that that's not a good look? It's not a good look. It really isn't. I'm back on the market. You know what you look like? Have you ever gone to, well, of course you have. Have you ever gone to Walmart or Target and you go to the customer service table and you look behind the people and they got all that returned items and shit behind them? Like the last time I had to return an item, and I really don't return many items, I took back a Nintendo Switch in order to get a different one. And when they take that Nintendo Switch, they look it over, they check it, they make sure that, it is what it's supposed to be. Then they slap this big yellow stick on this shit, and it says return. And what most of these stores have done is if there's nothing wrong with an item, what they try to do is they try to sell it to the next person for like maybe 10 or 20% off, or whatever it is. But let me tell you something. When I go shopping, I'm looking for new items off the shelf, like brand new items. I'm not looking for returns. I know there are some people who don't mind shopping returns, but I'm not one of them. Just to let you know. So anyway, it says he is gentle, goofy, self-depreciating, rather deferential, a passionate humanist, a sweet guy, a good guy. He tends to signal in various ways his exemption from the tainted category of men. Huh? And it is perfectly understandable that he would wish to do so. It must be mildly embarrassing to be a straight man. What? And it is incumbent upon each of them to mitigate this embarrassment in a way that feels authentic too. Why the fuck would I be embarrassed to be a straight man? What is this lunacy? So anyway, one of the reasons my marriage, here we go. Now, before I keep reading, what are the odds that she's going to blame the guy? Okay, I think it's pretty high. Watch. One of the reasons why my marriage ended was that I fell in love. I'm a cheater. I fell in love with another man. Let me guess. And before I read on, I'm not even going to look at this. Before I read on, we all watched as this CEO and his HR girlfriend. Now, this guy was dating the head of HR, right? CEO dating the head of HR. Here's the problem. This guy was married, right? And now, stupidly, they go out in public to a place where cameras are freaking everywhere. So sure enough, he's holding her, and you know what? See, I haven't really talked much about how I felt about seeing that. Now, first of all, the guy was automatically in the wrong, and so was the woman, because she knew he was married, and he knew he was married. So they were automatically in the wrong. But what was sad to me about it was the way he was holding her. because he didn't look too bad of a guy. He had a little bit of gray hair. It looked like he had most of his own hair. He had some gray hair. He looked like Richard Gere. That's the first person pops into my mind because I like Richard Gere movies. And this chick looked old. Like, I'm sorry, but she looked old. Like, she looked like she could have damn near been his mama. But this guy, apparently, I don't know well, I could guess what their relationship was like. This guy is standing there, and for a second, he's up there holding her real tight, and he's got her as close to him as possible. You know what I'm talking about. He's bumping and grinding. I don't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind. I don't see nothing wrong. Like, this guy, he was holding her so close that it looked like he was getting her pregnant, like right then and there, just holding her. And I'm like, wow. And then all of a sudden the Jumbotron comes on. Hey, look at these two. He's trying to get some. And then, oh God, hide my face. And then they jump and they try to hide. And I've been trying to warn these dudes for a long time about the work husband. You see, here's the problem. Think about Jeff Bezos. Mackenzie Scott. Jeff Bezos married to Mackenzie Scott. This dude gave up a large amount of money. Now, obviously, Jeff Bezos makes, more than I make a year every single freaking day. So, yeah, Jeff Bezos is, if there's 365 days in a year, this guy is making $365 million a year. So he's not too worried about the money, right? But this dude, and Mackenzie Scott, in my opinion, she was pretty. I think she was pretty. Now, Jeff Bezos got this woman, Mackenzie Scott, right? But who is he screwing around with? He's the work husband. He's a work husband. And who is he messing with? He's got a work wife. And this dude just spent $50 million on some single mama who got kids. And I had seen a picture of him on a boat, and it must have been his boat. And he's got his new wife, Lauren Sanchez, I believe that's her name, and her ex-husband, and they're on the boat. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you got all the money in the world, and you're going after used cat? You're going after single mamas? But here's the key, though. Because, see, I wasn't there, so I don't know the relationship between. They at work together. And I warn these dudes about the work wife, the work husband relation. You got to understand, all of these women, all of them, doesn't matter how fat, how ugly, how old, they all got a work husband. All of them. Don't think that your wife or don't think that your girlfriend is an exception. They got a work husband. Let me tell you something. When she gets ready to go to work in the morning, she gets herself nice and clean. She's putting on obviously clean clothes, and she's getting the nicest shit on that she got, and she's putting on her work. You look at her work. Look at your woman's work gear. She's got those spaghetti strap sandals or something, but she also has, now when she comes home, she's not wearing the spaghetti strap shoes because she's got the spaghetti strap shoes for work. But when she gets home, what has she got? She's got those flat, crappy ass Nikes or something like that. She's wearing the dirty, beat up sneakers when she comes home. But here's the key. This is the logic right here. You're not going to hear nobody else say this shit. She's taking the best of herself to work. And who's at work? The work husband. There's another dude there. And she's telling him everything. She's sitting there talking to this dude all day, giving him inappropriate back rubs. She might even be bringing food from home, food that you bought, and giving him some of her food at work. So you just think about that for a second. She's cooking for you at home, and she's got a frown on her face, but she's thinking about saving some of that food and bringing that the next day to her work husband. And she's feeding this other guy out there. And she's bringing the best of herself to work. But when she comes home, Oh, she's tired. She's a rundown mess. She's exhausted. So she does the spaghetti strap shoes go into the bag, but the Keds or the Nikes or whatever it is, the Reeboks, that's what she wears home to you. When she gets home, obviously she's coming home late, so the food that you thought you were gonna have for dinner, that's not ready yet. Of course, it's not ready. I've seen relationships where the fight is, and the man is sitting there talking. He's like, "Yeah, I come home. My steak is cold. The kids are dirty and a mess, and the house is a mess." And I'm like, well, wait a minute. What do you expect? She works 9 to 5. You work like 9 to 4 or 9 to 5, whatever it is. But what do you expect? She's going to work and she's coming home the same time you are. So what do you expect? You expect her all of a sudden to have your food ready? Of course not. You'd have to be a fucking fool to think that. But the problem is he expects his food ready, but he doesn't seem to realize she's coming home the same time you are. So she's going to work, and she's got her work husband at work, and she's telling him everything about you, all your health problems. When your back is hurting and you're not giving out sex because your back is a mess, or you're drunk and you're sloppy drunk, you go to sleep after a couple of beers. She's telling the work husband all of that stuff. All of it. Everything that you think that she wouldn't normally be saying, she's telling him. Like, I'll tell you one thing about these work wives. It's real when she starts telling you about her menstruation schedule. And I don't even want to say that shit, but let me tell you something. It's real then. That's when you know it's real. You'll be like, wait a minute, why the fuck are you telling me this shit? I don't want to hear this. And the thing about, let me tell you, when I say they'll tell you everything, they'll tell you everything. Everything. They'll tell you about their parenting and everything shit you don't even want to hear. But they'll tell you. And all you got to do is just sit there and listen. And that's it. And they'll keep going. And they'll be telling you everything. Oh, yeah, well, my dad had this piece of land over here in South Carolina. My mama and, my dad, they meant this, blah, 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 blah. And if you could somehow listen through all that, she'll end it with, okay, so, you want to go out Friday? And you're like, wait a minute. You're married. You can't go out Friday. How are you going to go out with me? You're married. Let me tell you something. These women, they think, I don't know if they're playing Barbie dolls in their head or what the fuck. I don't know what's going on. These women, they want to go out. Oh, you want to go to the Coldplay concert? And then you'll be like, oh, I like Coldplay too. Yeah, we go to Coldplay concert. And then you think and you see what happened. This guy had this chick. He had his hands oh my God. If I was a wife, I can't tell you how betrayed I would feel. I think like the inside of my stomach would feel like a bottomless pit or a black hole. I would feel so betrayed. Now, you got this older looking woman, this head of HR. She looked old. I mean, just looking at her, she looked like she was like 49 or 59 or something 9. She looked 49, 59, 69. I don't know what it is about 9, but she looked old. And this guy, he's squeezing her up. He's got his hands around her, and he's squeezing her up. It almost looked like she had a baby in the oven. And oh my goodness, if I was a wife, oh my goodness, it's a good thing that there's not a revolver with one bullet in the chamber, because that might be it. And I'd feel so betrayed. It's like, oh, is this what you want? Greg, Joe, Alex, whatever his name is this what you want? She's old. She doesn't even look that. And then I think back, and I keep saying the same thing. It doesn't matter how old she is. It doesn't matter how fat she is. It doesn't matter how, old, ugly, fat. It doesn't matter if she's ugly or if you think she's ugly. I think back to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger was in his big mansion. This guy's got the big governor Hummer, the Hummernator outside. He's got the Hummer H2, H1. This guy's in his big governor mansion. Arnold Schwarzenegger's got more money than I'll ever make in my entire life. This guy's got it all. And he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He doesn't have to have money. He fought the Predator, for God's sakes, and he beat him. Arnold Schwarzenegger is sitting up in his mansion. I guess his kids weren't in. His wife, Marie Shriver, she's somewhere. Who knows? But Arnold Schwarzenegger's sitting up in that mansion. And what's he got? He's got this Guatemalan. I'm licking my lips as I'm saying it. He's got this Guatemalan maid. And he's sitting there. He's reading his newspaper. He's the governor. Sitting back reading his newspaper. He's got this Guatemalan maid up in there. So here you got this chick, the work wife, because she's working for him. He's the boss. Work wife. Cleaning his house. She's got the feather duster. And she's got her back to him. She feather dusting. She's cooking. She's got her back to him. And she's cooking. She's chopping up them vegetables and chopping up the vegetables. And she's got those black heels on. And she's got that maid dress, the black and white maid dress. Governor Schwarzenegger, he's sitting there and he's reading the paper. He's like, oh, yes. California's money is down this week, so I don't know what I'm going to do. But he looks up for a second. He looks up. He's like, what do you think I should do, Miss Baena? And because her name was Miss Baena, B-A-E-N-A, Baena. And he looks up from the newspaper. He sees that big, round Guatemalan butt. And he just sees it. And he just thinks to himself, he's like, oh, yes, Miss Baena. Oh, yeah, what do you think about California's bill? What? And he doesn't even, he stops thinking he stops thinking about California. And he's like, I've got to have it. And he goes over there, he gets Miss Baena. And now he's got a son by Miss Baena. He's got a big son, looks just like him. And I got to have it. Arnold Schwarzenegger, oh man. I can't even imagine, like, it. There's no point in, when they go to court and they talk about how many times did you cheat? There's no point in doing that. Chances are he was hitting that every single day because he had to have it. But that's the work wife. That's what I'm talking about. Now, Miss Baena knew he was married. He knew he was married. That shit went right out the fucking window. And he was getting it every single day. That Guatemalan kung fu grip. That's what he was getting. He was getting that and I've got some female friends, even some coworkers who've come from Guatemala. And let me tell you something. Sooner or later, you're going to look up from that newspaper, you got the Guatemalan friend, you'll be like, ooh. The Guatemalan kung fu grip. Now, I've never been to Guatemala. I've traveled all over the world. I've never been to South America yet because, a lot of that place is really dangerous and chaotic and shit. Like, they tried to blow the Argentinian, the female president, they tried to blow her head off. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I need to go down there because that place is crazy. I prefer Southeast Asia. But let me tell you something. That Guatemalan kung fu grip. That kung fu grip. Arnold Schwarzenegger got that kung fu grip, and it wasn't too long. Now, mind you, this is an older guy, but see, when you're a man, you can have children right up until you die. Even if you live to 100, you can have children all the way till you're dead. And the thing about it is that Guatemalan kung fu grip snatched a soul out of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, what did they tell us in health class? It's like millions and millions of sperm, but only take one. She had the Guatemalan kung fu grip. Snatched a son out of this guy. That was the governor. The Predator couldn't beat him. He was on Mars, and he fought Cohagen, and he fought like so many people. He killed them all. But man, that Guatemalan kung fu grip, man, got him. Cost him his marriage. But I guess he wasn't really worried about his marriage because he was having too much fun with the maid. That's another thing. It's like, if you're a woman, like, how stupid are you to have a young female maid in the house? Like, that's just dumb. In fact, I'll go so far as to say you shouldn't even have a butler, because a lot of these guys, some of these guys are down low and all that. And the thing to me, it's like, wait a minute. You've got this other person in here cooking, cleaning, and taking care of your children. It's like, in his mind, he's like, wait a minute, I might as well be married to her. Like, how stupid do you have to be to have that kind of competition, like, right there? And then she got the Guatemalan Kung Fu grip. Like, oh man, that's just dumb. But these work, and I've digressed. But the work wife, that is a dynamic that they need to talk about, because this work wife, work husband shit, Jeff Bezos got caught up in it. He left a perfectly good Mackenzie Scott to get some Lauren Sanchez baby mama. Like, huh? What? Really? You could have gotten a young Lauren. So you could have gotten a young, untouched Lauren Sanchez. You got the money. You could have gone to Colombia or Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic, wherever you want to go. Hell, you could get a couple of them because you got that kind of money. Look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk got like 14 kids by like 7 or 8 different women. Now, I'm not going to say Elon's doing it right, because Elon got his divorce too. But, not marrying again was actually kind of a smart thing to do, because he's like, you know what? If I don't get married, I can have as many kids as I want by as many women as I want, and I'm so ridiculously rich. Even if the child support was $1 million a month, I don't care. All I got to do is put 0% APR down on the Tesla Model 3, and I'll have plenty of money. I don't care. Whatever. Now, I'm not saying that that's a good thing to do, but I'm just saying that seems to be the route that he's going. So they need to deal with this work husband, work wife. If your wife or your girlfriend is going to work, chances are, I'm going to just say it like this, chances are this guy giving her tight hugs every single day. And when I say tight hugs, that guy at the Coldplay concert with the HR manager, that's what I'm talking about. Man, I ain't never seen a man holding a woman like that. That guy was he was holding her like, it was like one of them pictures you see in the Bible. And this guy's cheating on, man, if I was his wife, I would feel so hurt, man. I would feel, if I was her, I would feel like there was a knife just driven right through my spine. Like front to back, like run through. Like, I can't even imagine that. Like, looking at how he was holding her at that concert, that hurt me so bad. I felt like I was her. Like, I could just imagine. If I was her, I'd go home, because she's going to get the house out of the divorce anyway. But I would draw the shades, and there would be no sunlight coming through, and I'd just stop eating. And I would just be reflecting on how hurt that I can't even imagine that is like the ultimate betrayal. Like, I can't, like, I don't know. I don't even think children who get abandoned by their parents feel that betrayed. Like, that's how bad that was. That was the ultimate betrayal. Like, that was so, oh, wow. We don't even have words in the English language to talk about how betrayed she must have felt. That, oh my God. That, like, I think that woman is going to feel that for the rest of her life. And that chick that he's holding is old. It's not even like she was young. If she was young and she was like, some pretty like 25 or 26 or something like that, you'd feel betrayed, but you'd be like, oh, well, he's just going to get the new young thing. Like, at least you understand it. But this chick, oh my God, she was 49, 59, 69. I don't know how 9 she was, but she was old. But this guy right here, he's up there, man, he had his hands wrapped around her and everything. He was holding her so close, so tight. I don't know if it's possible to get pregnant through clothing, but if it is possible to get pregnant through clothing, yeah, that's what happened. Damn. I don't even know what to say on that one. I got to get away from that. So anyway, let's get back to this boring story. One of the reasons why my marriage ended was that I fell in love with another man, whom I'll refer to by his first initial, J. Spontaneously grateful with a soft voice and an inordinate sad-eyed smile, J made me laugh, stopping my breath. What? Being a good guy, he he intimated from the jump that he did not know how to do relationships, giving me to understand that if I expected one with him, or as he may have conceptualized it from him, I did so at my peril, which was his peril too, since he would hate to hurt me. Aww. Still, he pursued me. We seemed to be doing something together. Yeah, you were doing something together. You were cheating. It's called infidelity. You were cheating with the work husband. That's what you were doing. I keep encountering. So, first of all, let me just say this going forward, because and this has happened to me. Sometimes I read these articles and the person who actually wrote the article actually comes and looks to find out who I am. And I've seen it, because you know how LinkedIn sends you messages and stuff. Oh yeah, this person just looked at your profile. Yeah, well, I have a Big Truck Series review profile and shit on LinkedIn, right? Let me just say this. You cheated on your husband. I just lost all respect for you. I have no respect for you at all, okay? It's just that simple. Because you're a cheater and you cheated on your husband with J. I have no respect for you. Now, I understand that you don't care about who I am. You don't care about the fact that I have no respect for you. But I just need to push that point across, that I have no respect for you at all. Because you're a cheater, okay? So I keep encountering and hearing about men who can't have these men not heard of don't want to. The men who can't versus the men who don't want to. My husband and I had an open relationship at that time. All right, let me just say this. There's no such thing as an open relationship. You're cheating on, you're betraying your wedding vows, and you're cheating on each other. There's no such thing as an open relationship. That's some bullshit that people made up so that they could feel better about making bad decisions. If you never got married, then I'd have nothing to say. But you got married and now you're betraying your vows. It's just that simple. So the terms of our involvement were at first limited, and although Jay exerted a pleasant pressure against these limitations, ultimately they suited him. I was the one who violated the terms by finding it intolerable, after a while, to care that much in that way. For one person while being married to another, I could not disambiguate sex from love nor love from devotion. Futurity, family integration, things I wanted things I wanted from Jay, even as throughout the year and a half or so that we saw each other, he continued to gesture to his incapacity to commit as if it were a separate being. An unfortunate child who followed and relied upon him, maybe, or a physical constraint. I stood there reaching for him while he had a sad face back at me like a boxed mime. He couldn't talk about it. He wished things were different. Maybe someday the child would mature, the glass would break, but for now, there was really nothing to be done. This is extremely boring, and you're boring me. And I don't, like, there's so many easier ways to say what you're talking about, but you're choosing to make this wordy bullshit, and I have no idea. Like, you just, there's so many easier ways to talk about this, but you're just not doing it.
Ladies, aside from the coochie, what else y'all bring to the table? I said, aside from the coochie, what y'all really bringing to the table?
Now look here, not all, but some of y'all bitches don't bring nothing to the table. Just be his peace. Bring value to that man's life.
I just had a phone call, so I have to get back to where I was. But let me warn you, I look towards the bottom, and there's a hell of a lot more to this. So I think I'm going to be here another 30 minutes or something. So I'll try to speed it up a little bit, but obviously the writer didn't. Okay, so it says, there are many routes to the species of disappointment I'm circling here. But however we get there, the complaint is so common, such a cultural and narrative staple, that the Academy is weighing in. We now have a fancy word, heteropessimism, to describe the outlook of straight women fed up with the mating behavior of men. Now, hold on, wait a minute. Heteropessimism, right? So hetero meaning heterosexual and pessimism meaning that you're being pessimistic. Why does this have to apply to women being fed up with the mating behavior of men? This word could just as this word is basically gender neutral. You could just as easily apply this to men being fed up with women. But of course, because a woman is writing this, we're forced to accept it as women being fed up with men. So anyway, coined by the sexuality scholar, so basically is saying she has a liberal arts degree and no job. The heterosexual, scholar Asa Saracen, who later amended it to heterofatalism. Once again, this is a gender-neutral word. Fatalism being death and ending, and hetero being different. The term seems at first glance to distill a mood that is no less timely or being timeless. It was really nice. A close friend texted me recently reporting on her third date with a lawyer. He's really, really sweet and nice to me and good at sex. Okay, I mean, what more could you want? No doubt something humiliating and nightmarish will occur soon. On more than one occasion, when my friend checked in with her lawyer to confirm tentative plans, he did not respond to her for many hours, or even a day. Granted, he worked a punishing schedule. That probably has something to do with it. But my friend reasoned it takes 90 seconds to send a quick reply. The dissonance between his caring and attentive in-person behavior and these silences confused her, and she mentioned this to him. The lawyer was sorry he had kept her waiting. He hadn't meant to, but he said her complaint had got him thinking. He unfortunately wasn't able to escape whatever was happening between them into a relationship. My friend clarified that she had not been asking to escalate anything, merely expressing a need for clarity about plans. So basically, you want to escalate things, and you just need to make sure that he is ready to do a co-escalation. He understood that, he said, but their communication skills were obviously too different for them to continue dating. Well, he's a lawyer after all, right? All right, the humiliating and nightmarish part, she explained to me, was not so much the rejection as being cast against her will as woman eager for a relationship, which is exactly what you are. In her memoir, Fierce Attachments, Vivian Garnett describes the anguish of being ignored by a lover to her female friend. What I couldn't absorb, she writes, was his plunging us back into the cruelty of old-fashioned man and woman stuff, turning me into a woman who waits for a phone call that never comes, and himself into the man who must avoid the woman who is waiting. Okay. I'm really done, my friend said. I can't keep doing this. I don't want to be hurt and misunderstood constantly. I need to find some other way to live. I agreed without thinking about it. This is part of the pessimism, right? The feeling that further thinking about all of this is futile. Surely we have done enough thinking by now. I wish I could just be gay with you. Oh my God. Really? Yeah, well, see, and that's right there. That's the escape that most of these women actually do try. The men ain't shit, so let's just be gay and we'll be lesbians and everything will work out. And no, it doesn't. And the divorce rates and the what is it called? The 911 calls pretty much say otherwise. Well, but bottom line is, yeah, they try that, but it goes nowhere. You know why? And I can't remember who I heard say this. The reason why, let me tell you, this is a secret. There's a reason why these woman-woman relationships don't work. And it's very, very simple. It's because, are you listening? It's because there is no penis between us. That's why. That's why it doesn't work. Now, you can get those rubber ones and you can get those silicone ones and everything, but it just isn't the same. It's not the same. It's just not the same. So anyway, where is this? I wish I could just be gay with you, she said. And I said, I wish that too, so much. This was our commiserative routine. What Saracen might call our performative disaffiliation with heterosexuality. Oh my God. Our spin on take my wife, please. Take my straightness, please. Take my attraction to men. Is heterofatalism a useful concept? I took it up for a while considering the positions. The writer and gender scholar Sarah Ahmed has advanced the idea of complaint as feminist pedagogy, arguing that to bitch is inherently transgressive, a form of resistance, while the philosophy professor Ellie Anderson suggests that women venting their dating woes constitutes a kind of negativity as rebellion. Was that what my friends and I were doing over dinner? Rebelling? Okay. The humiliating and nightmarish part was not so much the rejection as being cast against her will as woman eager for a relationship. If the experts say my romantic letdowns have some larger social significance, I am not going to argue. The men I want are not wanting me badly enough. Well, first of all, dear, you're a cheater and you're a divorcee. Yeah, you have a right to be a fatalist. In fact, that's exactly what you should be. So anyway, not communicating with me clearly enough, not devoting themselves to me. You're not devoted to you. You're not even, you didn't devote yourself to your husband, and you're a cheater. Why would any man in his right mind be devoted to you? I don't think you understand the reciprocal nature of devotion. So anyway, where am I? This certainly. I'm sorry if I'm reading a little slow. It's because I'm using my iPhone to read, and I'm not reading on like an iPad, so it's a little. Everything is cramped. It's a little smaller. Okay. And if it is an ism, the problem cannot be me. It must be men, right? Men are what is rotten in the state of straightness, and why shouldn't we have an all-inclusive byword for our various pessimisms about them? Domestic pessimism. They still do less of the housework and childcare. Yeah, you know why? Because men are out building the goddamn world. While you're at home with the children, the men are out building the bridges that get me from, Brooklyn to Queens. While you're at home with the children, the men are building the ballistic submarines to carry around nuclear weapons and stuff. So if somebody shoots at us, we can blow them to kingdom come. While you're at home with the children, the men are out there filling potholes. While you're at home with the children, the men are building the cars that we drive. While you're at home with the children, the men are building the space stations and the satellites and the spaceships and the rockets and everything else. But you're complaining about poor little me and the pessimism that I'm feeling because I cheated on my husband. This is disgusting. So anyway, domestic pessimism. They do less of the housework and childcare. Partner violence, pessimism, femicide is still gruesomely routine. Yeah, you know why? Because the men have it rough enough, and then they find out their woman is cheating on them with Jay. So when they come home, they're not coming home trying to negotiate or trying to argue. They're coming home with femicide on their mind. Yeah, and that's what it is. I'm sorry. Where are we? Erotic pessimism. What the hell? The clitoris and its properties still elude many of these men. God. It just hurts to read this. And the petulantly proud masculinist subcultures that have arisen, at least in part as reactions. The petulantly proud masculinist subcultures, so they're probably talking about the manosphere, that have arisen, at least in part as reactions to these pessimisms, keep coughing up new reasons to fear, rage against, and complain about men. But those men are not the men, my friends, and I are feeling bleak about. Those men are not the men my friends and I are feeling bleak about. It's the sweet, good ones that we can't get our claws into to ruin. That's basically what she's saying. So your problem, first of all, you're a divorcee. That's number one. You haven't mentioned yet whether or not you have kids, but you're a divorcee, so we already know we can't trust you. On top of that, you're a cheater because you're sleeping with Jay. And the reality is, the good young men who haven't been ruined yet, they don't want nothing to do with you. When they look at you, all they see is an old used cat. That's what they see, old cat, old used cat. That's right. I would like to believe there's something purposeful, resistant, even radical in the hetero-fatalist mode. But the more I voice it and the more I am inclined to agree with Saracen that it can produce nothing but more of itself. Heterosexuality is nobody's personal problem, he writes. It doesn't make sense to extricate your own straight experience from straightness as an institution. It isn't that my friend needs to find some other way to live. It's that we all do. But instead of looking for it, we disaffected women perform for one another this mutually enabling kind of maintenance, periodically off-gassing some of the shame and frustration of dating men and then chugging along with the status quo. Well, here's the problem. You're the problem. It's not the men that's the problem. You're the problem. But you'll never see it that way. And as long as you don't see it that way, then, you'll just continue to, float in the toilet bowl towards the center. So anyway, whatever Saracen's vision is, most of us can neither renounce our heterosexuality nor realize a significant renegotiation of its terms. What we can do, at least for now, is negotiate with ourselves. We can try to dodge old-fashioned man-woman stuff by acting hopeless about relationships rather than eager for them. Maybe this is the utility of heterofatalism, naming the bitter pill before we force ourselves to swallow it, and put on our carefree smile. Nice to meet you. Good guy. I am woman who expects nothing. I was doubled over laughing, briefly tasting the knee of my jeans while the man next to me on the sectional couch strummed a guitar and did a spot-on imitation of Bruce Springsteen. He had that lifting something heavy mown down cold, and he was improvising a song about work. American work in the American heartland, hyperbolically tough and tragic male work. Because I was losing it, he kept going, and I kept losing it. At a certain point, I wasn't sure if I was overpowered by amusement or just overpowered by him. On the way to his place, oh God, so she's ready to jump in bed with yet another one. So basically, you see this guy is all you got to do is know how to play the guitar like Bruce Springsteen and know how to make her laugh, and she's ready to jump in bed. You see, this is the problem. You see, this right here is the problem. So you cheated on your husband, sleeping with Jay, and now you're getting in bed with the Bruce Springsteen wannabe. That's what this is. That's all it is to you. That's your problem. On the way to his place, I had been texting with my aunt. Word from an expert, she wrote. Wait till he wants it so bad he's nutsy cuckoo. What? Sounds facile, but man, truer words were never spoken. Make him suffer is my mantra. I kept catching myself staring at his mouth, his bottom lip. He told me to slow down. He needed time to get a better sense of how I worked. I lay back to murmur, let him try stuff, and he warmed to his own control, putting his mouth right up to mine, then pulling away when I tried to engage his tongue. Okay, so I guess we're getting into the good part now. Okay, I see what you are, he said, finally pitting my forearms. You're a bratty sub. He held himself there, just out of reach, breathing on me. I like to make you wait, he said. He did make me wait. I stood at the slot machine watching those cherries and fat yellow coins blur by, and they didn't stop. He was sweet with me in person, impulsive about biting my nose, but for stretches I wouldn't hear from him, or I would, but only perfunctory, and then suddenly he would pop up, requesting clarification on what a man feels or wants or sees happening here has gotten me burned before, as it has many women I know. I have learned to regard such demands as demanding in a feminized way, simultaneously bossy and supplicating a re-inscribing of the bratty sub-position. Taking my cues from him, I stayed mostly quiet. Call it communication pessimism. Well, you people have a lot of pessimism going around. I swear to God, this is worse than reading the Bible. Like, I love reading the Bible, and there's some parts of it that are actually really awesome. But this is just boring. This is so boring. I thought something was going to happen, and she's just talking about this lunatic biting her nose, and then all of a sudden he disappears, doesn't call her. It's like, this is just boring. So anyway, on the bed, the female demand, male withdrawal pattern pulses with sensuality. In life, it sometimes feels like it will drive me out of my senses. When my friend complained about the lawyer, I expressed outrage at his behavior and worked my way, quite naturally and along a well-worn groove, to a condemnation of all. Okay, most men as incapable of upholding basic standards of communication and care. I was thinking, of course, about Jay. And I am not proud that my instinctive response to the shame of being gender stereotyped by life is to pay another stereotype forward. Men suck. Groundbreaking. That said, men's struggles to communicate in romantic relationships is widespread enough to have earned a psychological designation. So they call it normative male alexithymia. Normative male alexithymia. Or the condition of being unable to put words to emotions. Alexithymia. That's a good one. This incapacity, Ellie Anderson. Now, why? Oh, hold on. Why does this have to be male alexithymia? Huh? Because, you know what? And let me just say this. Because, the problem is there's probably some women listening to me read this, and they're probably getting angry at me because I'm telling the truth. But let me just say it like this. The problem with men nowadays is men have a fucking censor between their brain and their mouth. They have a censor there. I don't know exactly how it got there. I don't know if it was society that put it there or maybe it was their mother. Because, you start lying to women when you're a child. Like your mom says, okay, how does this look? And then you lie to her. Oh, it looks great, Ma. Oh, or how does this taste? Oh, it tastes great, Ma. You remember how, I wanted the McDonald's, but you said we had McDonald's at home, so you took me home, and then you made me this bullshit right here? Yeah, it tastes great, Ma. It really doesn't taste that great. So, yeah, men have a censor, and they start lying to women very early on. In fact, their mothers demand it, pretty much. And the censorship, I guess after a while, it becomes self-actionary. And the men start censoring themselves. The only times you'll hear a man telling the truth is probably when he's drunk or high on drugs. And at that point, the censor is deactivated. And he'll say anything that comes to mind. Not only will he say anything that comes to mind, he will actually tell the truth. Like they have like those drugs like sodium pentothal, I believe, or sodium mammothol or whatever it is. But anyway, you use those drugs on somebody, turns the censor off, they'll just tell you whatever it is. They don't give a shit. Anger also does it. You don't have to be drunk to get angry. And when you get angry, you let fly with obscenities. And for the most part, you're going to focus on things that you wanted to say that you didn't say before. Things that society wouldn't have let you say. Like if you're insulting a person who may have a physical handicap. Yeah, you cripple ass. You wouldn't say that normally because everybody would be like, yeah, you're bullying this person or whatever. But ultimately, that's what it comes down to. Men, it's not alexithymia. Men have a goddamn sensor between their brain and their mouth. So when a thought comes from the brain and goes towards the mouth, there's some people who have no sensor and they'll just say shit. But the problem is if you have that sensor, it sends the thought back to the brain for editing. And then it comes back to the sensor. And if the sensor feels that everything's okay, it'll let it get to the mouth. If the sensor doesn't feel that everything's okay, it'll send it back to the brain for re-editing. So now you got to edit it. And you know what's so sad? This is exactly what's happening with the internet. Have you ever typed on Facebook or typed on Instagram and you'll type something the exact way you mean to say it, and then that bullshit sensor, it's an automatic AI sensor, it'll send that shit back. It'll be like, are you sure that you want to type this? Or this might be in violation of the community guidelines. It's like, yeah, I know, goddammit, I'm the one who typed it. But it'll send it back, and then you'll think about it. It's like, wait a minute. If I text this, if I send this, these bastards are going to put me in Facebook jail for like 30 days or something. So I have no choice but to edit it. You see what I'm talking about? The same sensor that exists in the male brain is the same shit that they've put, this goddamn AI that they've put in these fucking social media sites. And they're doing their best to ruin, they're forcing us to speak the way that they want us to speak. They're forcing us to think the way they want us to think. I don't go for it. And that's the reason why I end up in a lot of Facebook jails. Like every single month or something, I end up taking a month off because I end up in Facebook jail. And the sad thing is I've been waiting for somebody to beat Facebook at their own game, and it hasn't happened. Like I've been waiting for somebody to kill Facebook, really. And it just hasn't happened. And then, there used to be a good day, like you'd be on YouTube, you could say whatever you wanted to say, and then all of a sudden they started putting that AI shit in there. And then all of a sudden, like, what's crazy to me is they'll censor you, and they'll say, oh yeah, well, you're not allowed to type or something for like a day or something like that. But then they'll never tell you what it is that you said that got you in trouble. I can understand if you hold it up in my face and say, yeah, well, you said, fuck this guy right here. And because of that, we're going to censor you for like 24 hours. Okay, all right, well, at least you told me what I did, so I can try not to do it next time. I make no promises. But now it's like these things will censor you, and then they'll block you and ban you or whatever, or shadow ban you, and they don't even tell you what you did. So my thing is, you might as well just say to hell with the censors, just do it, just say it, Maybe they'll get you, maybe they won't. Where am I? Sugar. All right, that said, no, wait. I already read that part. On the bed, the female. All right. Anderson, where were we? It must be an indication of our need for more ways to talk about the invisible, effective labor that often falls to women, that the term has suffered from concept creep, stretching far past that original meaning to crop up in everyday conversations about unequal division of labor in our love lives. Anderson gives us a new term related to but distinct from emotional labor and more useful in parsing what we might call the micropolitics of dating. She calls the work women do to interpret mystifying male cues hermeneutic labor. And they got a goddamn term for everything. This is stupid. Hermeneutic labor. And she posits it as a form of gendered exploitation in intimate relationship. The guy dating my friend may have been too busy lawyering to confirm his plans with her. But meanwhile, Anderson might say my friend was working 2 jobs. One to earn her living and the other as sole manager of an emotional entanglement that was also his. Heterofatalism is partly just burnout. Well, what you're basically trying to do is you're trying to abdicate yourself from the responsibility of actually having a stable relationship. You see, if you had a husband that you weren't cheating on, if you weren't messing with Jay and you weren't sleeping with the wannabe Bruce Springsteen, Now notice we're only like 6 paragraphs in, and all you got like 3 or 4 guys involved in this, right? But anyway, what she's basically doing is like she's trying to put it on men that the men ain't thinking about her. That's not the man's problem. That's your problem. That's ridiculous. You're trying to make it like he's supposed to go his whole day focusing on you. That ain't how it works, dear. If you get yourself a boyfriend or a husband that you're not cheating on, then he may not see you all day, but when he finally does see you at the end of the day, maybe at that point he'll concentrate on you. Your problem is you're trying to get somebody who you don't need to see at the end of every single day to be focused on you. That's not how this works. When that man goes home, all he's thinking about is a couple of things. He's thinking about food, sex, and silence. The problem that for you is he might not be thinking about the sex. If he was thinking about the sex, he would have given you a call. That's the reason why this man pops up intermittently. Most likely this man goes home, he's thinking about food and silence. So he goes home, he gets his tray of whatever food he eating, and he eats it, and then he just gets in his bed and he probably passes the fuck out because his blood alcohol and his his blood sugar and his blood alcohol probably spike because he's probably drinking beers and stuff. And he goes to sleep. He ain't thinking about you. Now, eventually, yeah, when he does get around to thinking about the sex part, yeah, maybe he'll give you a call. But you're trying to make it like, wait a minute, I don't live with this guy and he should be focused on me 100% of the time. That's not how it works, and that's not how it'll ever work, okay? Men have been the same since the dawn of man. If you have your caveman husband and he brings home the thing that he just killed, an alligator or whatever it was, and he brings it home for you to cook it, and you cook it, he's going to eat that, and he's going to sleep. He's going to sleep. Now, eventually, he might, be in the mood for some sex, and you're like caveman, you're like, ooga, 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 but the thing about it is he ain't thinking about that all day long. He's thinking about food, mostly. And, and that's it. And he's thinking about eating, and he's thinking about going home and taking a rest so he can get up for the next day and go back to work. And that's what these women don't seem to understand. A woman's job is to feed this man and to keep the place clean. And this way you can keep sending his ass back and forth to work in a cycle. That's what this is all about. But you don't know anything because you can't even keep a husband without cheating on him. Open relationship, my ass. I like how these people come up with this bullshit in order to make themselves comfortable with bad decisions that they've made. Open relationships? No, you're cheating on each other. That's what it is. Y'all are cheating on each other, but apparently you've decided to stay together instead of breaking up because maybe there's a financial hit that you'll take if you break up, a nasty divorce maybe. Or maybe you're living in the same house and you don't really want to be in the same house to each other. You just want to keep the house, but you know that's not going to happen. So y'all have an open relationship. That's a bunch of bullshit. It really is. I've seen these losers on YouTube. I'm not even going to name names because you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Talking about eating booty and talking about open relationships. Oh yeah, she does her thing, I do mine. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you really openly saying this? You're a cuck. But these people, you can't tell them that they're doing it wrong, nor should you. But the bottom line is, those relationships don't last. They can't. They can't because there's nothing holding them up. But this open relationship, it made our relationship stronger. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. No, it did not. And then you act surprised when the femicide happens. No, it didn't make your relationship stronger. It made him jealous, and then he went and grabbed a gun. That's what happened. It's these people are insane. I don't know. I just don't know. But you know what? God help them because the hospitals can't. So anyway, where are we? This is so long. The stranger waiting at my usual back corner table looked a bit squarer than my average date. His hair appeared recently washed and cut, and he wore a button-down shirt. But some restless mischief played in his face, bearing itself fully in his laugh. Our conversation was brisk and jesting. I got the impression he was enjoying my company, but that this was more bonus than criterion for him. He was partnered already. He had told me, and seeking only compassionate sex. His dating profile referenced... see, here's another problem. This guy's on one of these goddamn dating apps. What did I tell you about dating apps? Dating apps are the height of a woman's hypergamy. There's two things that I've identified, and I'm pretty sure there's probably another one. The two things that I've identified that represent the height of women's hypergamy. One are sperm banks. They don't just want any sperm. No. They want the sperm from the doctor or the genius level physician who's over 6 feet tall. Now, do they actually get that? Of course not. That's why there's been so many issues in the news and so many scams where some of the doctors, there was a guy named the Baby God, and he was impregnating women with his own sperm. Now, theoretically, that's kind of what they wanted because he was a doctor, so he's obviously smart, he's obviously well accomplished, and this, that, and the other. But when these women go into the sperm bank, they're not asking for sperm from short men. They're not asking for sperm from men who weren't rich. They're not asking for the sperm from men who aren't geniuses. No, they're asking for the 6 foot tall genius who's rich and all this, and that's what they want in their children. Bottom line is, that's the height of their hypergamy. That's literally being able to pick and choose. And that goes against natural selection in just about every way. Because even with natural selection, there's always that possibility that even if this guy has all of that stuff and represents all that, there's a possibility his sperm cells themselves may not be perfect. When you go to a sperm bank, they're expected to filter out the sperm and they're expected to purify it and this, that, and other. That's the height of a woman's hypergamy. The other height of a woman's hypergamy is dating apps. Being able to be in one state or one country and just swiping left on anybody who you don't find appealing enough, and looking at these guys based on their jobs, based on their height, based on their, those things. Like, so you got to be 6 feet tall, you got to have a 6-inch pecker, and you got to have a 6-pack of abs, and you got to have a 6-figure salary. That's the number of the beast, this 666. That's the number of the beast. And that's what the women are literally saying they want. Me personally, I hope none of you get anything that you want. I hope not. And I wish that men were smarter and that they would get off these goddamn dating apps, because all they're doing is feeding into your insanity. And then when they finally do get you, they're just going to cheat on you, just like this one right here. Because the problem is, what they want is never enough. It's never enough. So if the men are smart, and they are, because a lot of men, these dating apps are going under. Bumble's having financial problems, got to lay people off. Let me tell you something. I hate to see people lose their jobs in general, but in this case, I want to see 100% of you fired. Bumble's having problems. OnlyFans cut. And let me also throw this in there. China, you know how I always talk about China and how I appreciate the PRC government for doing things that I find are socially appropriate in order to further society? Well, America doesn't have the strength of will. My government is filled with leaders who are busy dodging the Epstein files right now. But China, even though America doesn't have the strength of will to cancel TikTok, to turn that shit off, even though they see it turning these kids into goddamn zombies, China, you know what China just did? China said, no, we're banning OnlyFans. We're not allowing that into our country. Why? Because if they allow, and they know it, because, if you watch enough of these China YouTube shows like China Uncovered and all this Unvarnished, what you'd see is that they have a dating issue over there because the women are hypergamous now, and they're demanding that the men basically be rich, and they're trying to go out and take these men on dates. They're trying to get the men to spend like $700 and $800 on a date, which is just stupid. But the thing about it is, China understands. They're like, wait a minute. If we let that OnlyFans shit over here, first of all, the majority of the money is going to go back to America. It's not going to go to us. That's number one. So there's a financial incentive here. If we let our men have that kind of access to these other women where they're simping for these women and sending money overseas to these women just for them flashing their cat and showing off their feet, and if our men have access to that, that's going to cause untold problems in our society. Because imagine now you got all these Chinese men who got fetishes for other things. Like maybe they got fetishes for dark skin. Maybe they got fetishes for Hispanic women. Maybe they got fetishes for Indian women, whatever it is. Bottom line is the China PRC government, I tip my hat to them. They said no. It's just that simple. They said no. Did the Chinese government give a damn how much money American women who are on OnlyFans aren't going to be able to make off of Chinese men? Now, there's 1.4 billion Chinese men, and there's only like 340 million American men. Do you think the Chinese PRC government gave one goddamn about any of these women over here? The answer is no. And they said no. Do you think the Chinese PRC government gave one goddamn about how much money their own women could have made off of having OnlyFans in China? Do you think the Chinese PR government, who's sitting up there, President Xi, do you think that they gave one goddamn about any of them and said, you know what, our women, they're not getting married and they're turning into Shengnu and they're turning into Christmas cakes, but if they had this OnlyFans, they might be able to make enough money from these simps in order to support themselves? The answer is no. Let me tell you something. If I had a hat on right now, I would tip it to the Chinese government. I'd say, you know what? I wish I could address the Chinese government right now. I wish I could go over there and just say, yes, People's Republic of China, I come from a government where right now they're busy arguing over 1 minute of missing footage from a pedophile's cell. And we have maximum security prisons in my country where we can't keep people alive until they testify or stand trial or whatever. So that's what's going on in my country. But listen, I have to tip my hat to you because when y'all want to do something, you get it done. And I appreciate that. When I want to get something done, it gets done. Come hell or high water. China, if you go to China, because I've lived in China, you got to understand, I've lived there. You go to China, and even some of these other Southeast Asian countries, they turn our media off. When they don't want American media, like for instance in Thailand, you're not allowed to criticize the Thai government. So if you've got American media criticizing the Thai government, guess what? They cut that shit off. Now here in America, they hide behind the First Amendment, freedom of speech, this, that, and other, journalistic integrity and privilege, this, that, and other. Not over there. China says, you know what? These people are talking bad about the PRC government. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to flick a switch, turn that shit off. So the PRC, you know, there was a couple of things they did. I've mentioned it in other videos. The PRC said, you know what? America's government, they've got effeminate men on television. Now, in my country, we just got a story, which I'm not going to talk about now. We got Barack Obama talking about young boys should have gay men as mentors in their lives. Now, China said, oh, wait, y'all got effeminate men in the media? Uh-oh, where's that switch? Click! Switched off. What else did they do? America's government, the kids, oh, you want to play video games all night long and then go to school tomorrow tired and then fail your classes because you're exhausted because you can't even stay awake because you're busy playing video games and looking at TikTok all night. Oh, yeah, well, the PRC government saw that, what it was doing to our kids over here in America. You know what the PRC government said? You know what? Where's that switch? Click! Turned off! Permanently! So when the kids in China, when they're playing video games, at a certain point during the day, at night, at a certain time, Oh, guess what, guys? It's study time. And since we don't trust you to actually study, we're turning the internet off. We're turning the video game internet, because you got the regular internet, you've got the intranet, you've got the intra-computers inside PRC government. But then on top of that, you've got the networks, the global networks that let you play with other people from other countries. So they're like, oh, well, you know what? We don't trust you to self-manage. So what we're going to do is, you know what? You're studying to be a doctor. You're studying to be a lawyer. You're studying to be a surgeon. You're studying to be an engineer, a technician, so you can build better electric cars. Whatever it is you're studying for, we're turning this shit off. And you're going to go study. Right? Now, I'm sure that the kids don't like that, but the goddamn PRC government don't give a shit. So you know what? They flick that switch. Somewhere they have a bunch of switches, and one of them says Google, one of them says Yahoo News, one of them says YouTube, one of them says every single thing that we've got, they've got their own in the Chinese government. They got their own. They got Baidu. They got, what was that thing, Alibaba. They got their own version of Amazon. They got a version of everything we got, and they ain't got what we got because they don't want it. They don't want it there. All of these companies are starving to get into China, but they have to walk a very tight line. See, when, what's his name, Tom Cruise, when he made that movie Top Gun Maverick, he knew goddamn well that when you're talking about these other countries that we're about to fight, you better not say China in it. He knew damn well when he made that last Mission Impossible, okay, well, it's okay for us to pick on the Russians, but we ain't saying nothing about China. He knows, because they will cut that shit right off. India. We had a new Superman movie. India said, we don't want to see Superman kissing Lois Lane. So what they do, they cut that shit. They cut it right out of the film. Cut it right out. They don't play over there. They do not play. Why? Oh, no. We want you to be studying to become the next doctor. We want you to study, and you're going to study very hard. You're going to be Dr. Gupta. You're going to study it very, very hard, and you're going to be better than all the Americans. You're going to study very hard, and that's it. And there's no talking about it. You go back to work. And they just cut it off. That's it. No argument, no rights, no freedom. They just do it, and they get it done. And that's the reason why we have to import all of our goddamn surgeons. We got to import our doctors. We got to import our engineers. We got to import our technicians. We got to import people. We have no choice. Our people are stupid. So, it is what it is. But China says, no, it ain't what it is. We're turning it off. Totalitarian government. It's what's for dinner. So anyway, where am I? But they turned off OnlyFans. Yeah, I just wanted to remind you. So that 1.4 billion people in China and that 1.4 billion people in India, you're probably not going to have any access to them. Man, that would have been a lot of money, wouldn't it? Now, here I am on YouTube fighting just to get to 100,000 subscribers. If I was a woman, all I got to do is show off my ass, my cat, and my feet, and I'd have 2 million subscribers. But unfortunately, none of them would be from China. If I had access to the Chinese market, I could show off my cat, and I'd have 10 million subscribers. Well, it looks like that's just not going to happen. Sorry. All that money you're not going to get. All those luxury cars that you're not going to get. All those luxury handbags that you're not going to get. I just read, they were talking about OnlyFans. They were saying that the average woman, she's getting like less than $50 to show off that cat. Because if you really think about it, there's really not that much money to go around. How many of these thirsty simps are waiting on these computers to hand somebody some money? There's really not that, it's like the stock market. There's the women at the tippy top who represent the Magnificent Seven, like Google, Microsoft, Amazon. They make all the money. And then the whole rest of the stock market, yeah, you're getting crumbs. It's no different than Bitcoin. Yeah, at the top of the market, you've got the billionaires, the Bitcoin billionaires, you got the Bitcoin millionaires. But the whole rest of the market, all they got is a couple of Satoshis. $50 in Satoshis. That's what you got. You got Satoshi. You don't even have a whole Bitcoin. You've got Bitcoin crumbs. You've got Satoshis. That's what you've got. You got Satoshi Nakamoto's. That's what you got. You got Satoshis. It's pathetic. So anyway, where are we? God, this story sucks, and it's long, and it's boring me. But I think I'm almost done. I think this is long. Jesus, and it's so long to say nothing. You're not saying anything. We turned eventually to the subject of erotic temperament. He was interested in the possibilities that arise. Okay, wait. Did I skip something? The stranger waiting. Okay, no, wait, but that he was partnered already. He had told me and seeking compassionate sex. His dating profile referenced this clearly below a picture of him wearing a blue blazer and petting a donkey's head. What kind of innuendo is that? We turned eventually to the subject of erotic temperament. He was interested in the possibilities that arise between people when any eventuality of marriage, procreation, or fidelity was, so to speak, taken off the bed. What might then happen in that bed, in that community, in that world? Watching his clean-cut, boyish form and listening to him speak with the eloquent enthusiasm of a connoisseur, the phrase that occurred to me was sex nerd. Many dabblers in non-monogamy were not really, he noted with a laugh, quoting the rapper Pusha T, "bout that life." Oh my God. He was about that life. I meet this type around sometimes, fluent in the language of polyamory. Polyamory means multiple lovers. So you got polyamory means multiple lovers, you got polygyny means multiple wives, and you have polyandry, which means multiple husbands. Waving his respectful desire around like a plastic lightsaber. Pew pew! Why would you play with just one toy when you could take turns with all the toys? While at the same time vaguely subverting something capitalism? Is that the reason? What were my feelings? Sex nerd wanted to know about, and now, by the way, this is another man that she's adding into the story. This is beyond the Bruce Springsteen wannabe. I find her carousel of men, I find it exhausting. I confess to having no interest. What can happen between two people? That thing where a pair of beings lock onto and suspend each other, aching for and into each other. I was about that thing, that life. Sure, he got that. He respected that. But he had actually found that the intense, intimate kind of connection I described could occur between, say, 4 people. And when it did, he added with teeth, it was quite an experience. The bitterness does not replace wanting men. A man, the smell of a man's thin t-shirt, the dampness of the hair at his nape. I conceded that it was a fascinating prospect, but one I could not mentalize, or at least not in any way that moved me. Totally, he said, that was totally valid. He was generally eager to assure me that my desires were valid both in person and later, when he wrote to me on more than one occasion to clarify that if you feel our energies aren't matched, I would argue, and if friendship only is preferred, I will understand and truly no pressure good guy. Protesting a bit much on the consensuality front, but basically a stand-up guy. Evolved, transparent, and enlightened creature of our new romantic age. If only I could desire a man like that. A man bringing such clear terms to the table, enough to be disappointed by him. Isn't that what desire is? A sight of potential disappointment? But I couldn't, which was another disappointment. No, as far as I know, desire means that you just want something. I don't think desire entails that you have to be disappointed. I think it just means that you actually want something. Two bodies were pressed together outside entrance to the subway on my way home. The man's hands wrapped tightly around the back of the woman's head, and as I passed them, a noise escaped me, a choking sound, a performance of disgust for the benefit of some bitter omniscience. No, what that's called is jealousy. You're jealous that he's totally into her and he's loving her and you're unloved. Okay, the bitterness does not replace wanting men. Bitterness, yes, that's a great word. Envy, jealousy, bitterness. A man, the smell of a man's thin t-shirt, the dampness of his hair at the name, after he exerts himself. What? Okay, it's like... Okay, after... Alright, anyway. The bitterness grows from the want and is mixed up with it. There must be something wrong, I keep thinking, with the way I desire. Yeah, well, you're a cheater. You're never satisfied, cheater. A good man is hard to want. A good man wrote in the group chat. A hard man is good to find, said another who knows I haven't had satisfying sex in a minute. A man is hard to find good, said the previous man's girlfriend. A good find is hard to man, I said, as if a guy were a tricky piece of equipment. Slow down. I need to get a better sense of how you work. You're flattening the men, a former lover wrote to me after I sent him a partial draft of this essay. They never get to be real. They're used to confirm a story about disappointment and frustration. This man and I met last fall when he was like me, reeling from romantic rejection, and within a half hour we lunged at each other, as though by tacit agreement to be each other's comforting, orgasm-giving blankies for a time. So it looks like she just slid another man in there, it looks like. We traded obsessive accounts of the failed relationships, cheered each other through the rigors of no contact, watched Albert Brooks movies, belted Weezer songs to karaoke tracks on his couch. Whatever was happening between us went on for about 6 weeks, at which point I became annoyed that he was withholding something from me, though I couldn't say what exactly, and he became anxious about annoying me, and I accused him of coldness, and he accused me of being unfair and so on. The familiar female demand with male withdrawal pattern descended over us like a polarizing spell, making me more goaded and accusatory, him more defended and reserved. Unlike other similar exchanges in my past, this one had an oddly mechanical quality, as though rather than venting real passions, we were locked into some tiresome, bewitched choreography. In Beyond Doer and Done To, the feminist psychoanalyst Jessica Benjamin describes the impasse two people can reach where each feels unable to gain the other's recognition and each feels in the other's power. In this state, which she calls complementary two-ness, both people feel helpless, both feel done to, both feel the other is leaving us no option except to be either reactive or impotent. Who knows how long the dance of complementary two-ness would have lasted with my fellow Weezer singer had one or both of us felt ourselves to be in love. As it was, after a couple of weeks, we were able to break the enchantment and we remained friends. Eventually, I admitted to him that it had felt more naturally to me to default to wounded female rather than assume responsibility for my desires. He, for his part, described a large looming X whose adept use of guilt had left its mark. It was one of those moments of becoming aware, suddenly and fleetingly, of how we play ourselves and cast others to play opposite us in the productions of our internal dramas known as days. Oh my God, how much fucking more of this shit? Oh my God, look at this. I gotta read all this? God damn. This is ridiculous. He has questions now about this piece. Aren't I oversimplifying the case of my friend and the lawyer isn't what recognize? Man, I feel like skipping this, man. I think y'all can read this yourself. This is just boring. It is so unbelievably boring. Let me see what she says in the last couple of paragraphs, because I gotta stop. I have to stop. This is stupid. One thing heterofatalism reflects is a persistent lack of faith that those we desire will be able to recognize us as commensurately human. I wonder how much fearing what we expect and expecting what we fear. We summon the old-fashioned man-woman stuff that keeps coming around. A man comes, a man withdraws. This embodiment needn't necessarily become pregnant with larger meaning, but it often does. I end up wondering if it's my own fault somehow when the heterosexual dynamic cannot seem to transcend its own tropes, subvert its own symbolism, play out an entirely unpredictable scene. Saracen rightfully pokes fun at the privileged ignorance of straights who, in moments of yearning to experience a desire that we imagine as more extricable from our own oppression, announce a wish to be queer. No relationship, regardless of gender orientation, number of people, is immune from power dynamics. Unequal distribution is always, so to speak, on the bed. But in queer relationships, the roles are at least less determined, with perhaps more freedom and flexibility in who assumes which and how. In other words, maybe our pessimism about straightness arises in part from a dawning sense of anachronism. Maybe like the surge of interest in straight non-monogamy, it's part of heterosexuality's clumsy process of queering itself into a more fluid future. God damn, this is boring. To break the impasse of complementary two-ness that can grip any pair of people, Jessica Benjamin imagines how we might collaborate over time, and the time is crucial to create an intersubjective third, a space in which your needs and mine, your desires and mine, recognize and accept each other without competing for dominance. To create such a space, Benjamin says, requires a mutual surrender that is distinct from submission. I find this distinction difficult to grasp, which is perhaps to say that I experience desire in terms of a struggle that someone must lose. I am ready to cop to some unconscious masochism here. A good man is hard to want, after all, and my sexuality owes me neither protection nor affirmation. It is out for itself, out for a skirmish, a strain, a smell. The old way of mating is dead. No, for you it is, said my friend at our colloquy of female complaint over dinner. And the new one has yet to be born. What is the new one? Pessimism may help us feel knowing, but really, we don't know. For now, life has us pinned here. I like to make you wait. Jean Garnett has published essays in the New Yorker. I'm going to be sure not to read any of them because she's trying to put me to sleep. The Paris Review Daily and the Yale Review, a winner of the Pushcart Prize. I've never heard of that. She is at work on a book about relationships. Well, I think it's fair to say Jean Garnett has no idea what she's talking about. I think that's fair to say. I will not be reading her book. I will not be buying her book. There's no point because I think she's basically said it all right here. She doesn't understand how to keep a good relationship. It looks like she's ready to experiment with homosexuality, maybe get a wife or girlfriend or something, because the bottom line is men aren't going to give her what she wants simply because she can't give them what she wants, or she can't give them what they want. But the problem ultimately, she's damaged goods, and I think that's obvious. And she's jumping from man to man to man to man, and nobody is meeting her needs, and it's not going to happen. If I had to give some solution to her, I would say, listen, you're going to have to go outside of the usual man that you want, and you're going to have to go and date somebody who's totally unlike you because you are a problem. You are the problem in your own problem. So, yeah, you're going to have to find somebody who you normally wouldn't date or whatever. But the bottom line is, if you're just going to cheat on them as soon as you get bored, like you bored me during reading this story, well, then you're going to continue to have a problem. And it's going to be an impasse that's going to carry on. It doesn't matter where you go. So, okay, so you see that this is the reason why I refuse to pay the New York Times, man. I swear to God, reading their tripe, it works better than taking muscle relaxers, because I swear to God, I'm ready to go to sleep right now. But of course, I can't just do that. It's 3:06 in the evening. Oh my God, I thought this shit would never end, and it just got dumber and dumber and dumber. It's just boring. It's so boring. It's like I'll tell you like this, you'd be better off talking about like the sexual encounters, because having to listen to you go from man to man to man and have just lackluster, boring dates it's just boring. It's so boring. It's so boring. You know, and she thinks that she has a story to tell, but her story is boring. Like, this is somebody who publishes a book and nobody reads it. That's what's happening here. You see these pictures? Like, these pictures, I don't know if these are pictures of her. I'm pretty sure if I look, I can find pictures of her and this, that, and other. But the reality is, she's so boring. It's just unbelievably boring. It's so unbelievable. You know, I'm not sure which one of these pictures represents her situation best. Like this one in the top left, that's her when she starts her date. I'm thinking the one on the top right is her maybe about 30 minutes in. I'm thinking the next one down, second from the top on the left, I think that's her about maybe 45 minutes in. An hour in is the next one. And then by the bottom, that's when, she gives up on life. And, that's maybe like 2 hours in on the bottom left. And then on the bottom right, that's her every single day. It's like whoever put this illustration here, they exactly knew how to convey this entire story. Whoever put this illustration, what was her name? Her name was some Russian name. It sounded like read by Kristen Potter, engineered by Zach Booten, and the illustrations that are here were by some chick with a Russian name. Oh, Christina Zakova. Yeah, so Christina understands how boring this woman is. So thank you, Christina, for these pictures, because you absolutely captured exactly what I'm talking about. Like, this was just so unbelievably boring. I would rather listen to my doctor talk about medicine he's prescribing to different people than to hear this. Because, and then, they try to blame everybody else. That's what they try. They try to blame the men. And, oh, yeah, maybe I should try lesbianism. And you're not the first one to reach that conclusion. The problem ultimately is going to be that there is no penis between us. And then you're just going to revert to your old norms. You're going to keep on going on these boring-ass dates with the fake-ass Bruce Springsteen wannabe who thinks that he sounds like Bruce Springsteen. And you're laughing at his dumb-ass jokes. It's not funny. And then you move on to the sex nerd. And that's it. And it's just so dull and boring. It's like, surely there has to be more in a black hole than this. I know the black holes crush everything into subatomic particles, but you're just so boring. It's like, surely there has to be something more in there than this. It's like, it's painful to read this nonsense. But that's the story. So, beyond that, I don't know what to say, because I'm ready to go to sleep.
Can I have a bucket of chicken?
All right. Sure. And what about your side?
Nah, she good. She ate at the Coldplay concert.
To be continued.